Green of the Warriors has declined, that doesn't mean he's leaving, declined his roughly $28 million option to become a free agent. Again, doesn't mean he's leaving. What he is doing is signaling to you and I, LeBron and AD may be Warriors. It is creating flexibility for Mike Dunleavy Jr., Joe Lacob, and the front office for the Warriors to go out and sign LeBron and sign AD. So these are all Rich Paul clients. Draymond is, AD is, LeBron is. So there's a through line. And I will tell you this, they'll probably have to move off injured Jimmy Butler and attach some draft picks to it, probably several to the Wizards. I like this move. Okay, the Warriors, I admit, they were the oldest team in the NBA last year, and they just went Golden Girls. They are going to lean into it. 41-year-old LeBron, or is he 42? And then Anthony Davis, who's in his close to mid-30s, and he feels old. So the idea of AD, Draymond, LeBron, Pods, and Steph Curry is delicious. They are zigging when everybody else in the NBA is zagging. And it's almost like a sitcom when you add like a baby or like a pet or something. You want to extend the storyline. But I'll tell you something. It'll be the smartest team in the league, the most experienced team in the league. If you want proof of concept, you had 2024 Olympics. I like it.
All right. Let's dive into this discussion. First and foremost, let me be crystal clear about something. This is absolutely not a proof of concept for the Olympics. That interpretation doesn't hold any water whatsoever. But that's an entirely different conversation for another time. What I actually want to do is conduct a thorough examination of this topic because I find it genuinely compelling. Before we get into the meat of it, Golden State Warriors fans, I have a heartfelt request. Please don't forget to subscribe and watch the entirety of this video. That is unequivocally the most effective way to support the growth of this channel, enabling us to continue having the most objective, level-headed, and transparent conversations about the Golden State Warriors. Your engagement makes a substantial difference, and I would be genuinely appreciative of it. Alright, let's get into it. The Warriors will forever hold, particularly with Stephen Curry, and even Draymond Green, the absolute deepest place in my basketball heart. The ultimate, Primera Warriors, the Dynasty Warriors, were genuinely the first basketball team that I ever truly immersed myself in and followed with maximum dedication. I was watching nearly every single game, and this was through the lens of a period when I felt I had transitioned beyond being a true young kid, you know? I was no longer like a 12-year-old. And so, I was completely locked in, absolutely consumed by the Warriors during those iconic years, 2015, 2016, 2017. I remember watching Kevin Durant tear his Achilles and fighting back tears. I recall when the Warriors fell to LeBron and the Cavaliers, and just experiencing that overwhelming feeling of, what do I even do in this world? It felt like an injustice, like, why does this matter so much to me? I still vividly remember that hollow sensation of questioning whether I should just stop watching sports altogether. Seriously, it was a genuine feeling of, I don't want to experience this emotional turmoil. Why do I invest so much emotionally? Maybe I should just walk away entirely. Then they acquired Durant, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is the greatest development in the history of the universe. I love sports, and I'm never going to stop watching. So a move like this is absolutely fascinating for numerous reasons. I want to approach this from a slightly different angle, specifically regarding LeBron James potentially joining the Warriors. Because I was on the front lines of the Warriors dynasty. I lived in California when the Warriors were at their absolute peak, so I feel deeply immersed in all of that history and context. So much of that era was framed as LeBron being the villain, right? The Warriors were the kings, Steph was the true king, and LeBron, he wasn't the legitimate king. All that back-and-forth rivalry was honestly awesome, genuinely great entertainment. Then I recall when they united for the Olympics, it was remarkably amusing to witness Steph Fans appreciating LeBron and LeBron fans appreciating Steph. Everyone collectively seemed to realize, oh, this is why you guys love Steph so much, or oh, this is why you love LeBron so much. It created this beautiful full circle, overlapping experience where I understood why Steph fans hold him in such high regard. It was the same sensation I felt watching the Olympics because, you know, I'd always been the type to yell at LeBron through my television, thinking, oh my gosh, that wasn't a foul, or, he's just using his brute strength, that's not even impressive. What Steph does is impressive. That's actual talent, that's skill, that's so much more difficult to execute. LeBron is just big and powerful, I'm not impressed by that. But then watching the Olympics, I found myself thinking, that's right, be the freight train. That's right, you're a freight train. Get after it. That's a foul, he got fouled. LeBron got fouled. Put him on the line. Let's go. You can't stop him. There were moments even during the Olympics, and I've always talked about organized chaos, using the Olympics as the perfect illustration of that concept, where you understood why they needed to get Anthony Edwards off the court, why Drew Holiday was superior in those specific situations. When you have players like LeBron, Steph, and Draymond, but particularly those who can truly do everything in any given moment, which includes LeBron, Steph, and KD, they can pass, dribble, shoot, and they instinctively know the right decision to make. There were instances during the Olympics, I can't recall exactly which game, either the gold medal round or the semi-final, where everything was accelerating, chaos was ensuing, and I just kept thinking, get the ball to LeBron. Get the ball to LeBron right now. Because he's the master orchestrator. He knows precisely whether he needs to hit Steph, find KD, take the shot himself, or drive into the paint and draw a foul. He will decide, and I trust his judgment more than anyone else in those high-pressure moments. That's incredibly valuable and powerful. It was remarkable on an Olympic team because it existed in its own little bubble, its own alternate universe, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe's multiverse. But do you actually want that as a Warriors fan, though? In real life, do you want this? Because so much of it also comes down to wanting Steph to win more championships than LeBron. If they win now, they both get a ring, they both celebrate, but it's LeBron and Steph together now. It's also always felt like LeBron has been more enthusiastic about Steph than Steph is about LeBron. I think Steph likes LeBron, and there's no animosity there, there's genuine respect and appreciation. But it does feel like LeBron is the one chasing Steph a bit more. I would say Steph is somewhat more neutral in that dynamic, certainly not as much as Draymond Green loves himself. When you look at an older team like this, that's why I wanted to plant that flag. How do you feel as a fan? You're a Warriors supporter, you're a Steph devotee. Do you actually want this team constructed this way? Do you want LeBron there? Just from a pure fan perspective, if you've been following the Warriors for a decade or more. Then there's the other layer, would this team actually be great? If fully healthy, yes, I think they would be formidable. I'm uncertain about Podziemski, I still go back and forth on him. I'm always the one emphasizing that basketball development takes time. You're not immediately an elite, otherworldly player, you typically don't hit the ground running in the NBA. It requires patience. So I'm still in the camp of, alright, maybe he can continue to develop, elevate, and become something better. But if I just look at Steph, LeBron, Draymond, and Anthony Davis, if they're all fully healthy, yes, I do believe they'll be great. I think they'll be genuinely excellent, and it will be highly entertaining to watch. But is that sufficient? When I say great, do I mean top 2 or top 3 team caliber? I'm still of the conviction that Steph Curry can be elite and can win another championship. I'm very much of that mindset. I think he could have done it in what would have been, what year was it? 2025? Whenever he got hurt in the middle of the playoffs against, was it the Rockets or the Timberwolves? I think it was the Timberwolves at that point. They'd already beaten the Rockets, my memory is a bit fuzzy. But it was like, why we're all on fire. I think they absolutely could have beaten Oklahoma City. A lot of Thunder fans got upset with me for suggesting that. And then if they got through the Western Conference, they would have had to face the Pacers, which they absolutely could have beaten. So I think they could have done it. And if Jimmy Butler had actually been healthy, but that's the problem, right? You keep saying, if only this player was fully healthy. Oh, if LeBron was at full strength. Oh, if AD was at full strength. That's potentially what you're setting yourself up for. But also, can you really assemble a team with a bunch of 24 to 25-year-olds who are ready to perform at a high level immediately, where Steph can just be the finishing touch on that cake? I do think, and this is what I've said about LeBron with the Lakers over the last couple of years, he can't be the foundation anymore. You can't rely on LeBron to be the first or second option game after game after game. You simply can't. He's got to be more like a third option, where sometimes he can absolutely take over. Just because you're the third option doesn't mean you can't lead the team in scoring on any given night. Even Tobias Harris occasionally leads his team in scoring. But you can't rely on Tobias to be the leading scorer every night, as the Sixers and Pistons discovered. You can't depend on that, especially in the playoffs with the additional wear and tear and fatigue. So it would be beneficial to not have this team need to rely so heavily on Steph. The Warriors, for much of their run, operated on a simple premise: if Steph goes off, they win. If Steph is cold, they lose. The way to balance that was always hoping that if he's a little cold, at least you have Clay, or depending on the season, you have KD. For a minute, you had Jordan Poole. There was some balance, but it was still fundamentally, if Steph is on, you're winning. If Steph is not, best of luck. If Steph is getting beaten up in a playoff game and the officials aren't calling fouls, it's like, best of luck. When you look at a team like this, it's actually balanced. Weirdly enough, it is balanced. But basketball, at its core, still requires something fundamental, even though role players are crucial, and every championship ever won owes something to role players, and the Warriors know this. You see great moments from role players, great contributions from the fourth or fifth options stepping up big. But at the end of the day, you still need that foundational piece, that true anchor. That's who everyone is looking toward. And who is that on this team? It can't be LeBron. It can't be AD. So you don't have that person. A team like this would be great if you removed pods and had that other anchor for everyone else to work around. Where you have someone like Anthony Edwards, or even a Dylan Harper, obviously much younger and just a rookie, but someone you could say, you're in charge. I'll end with this because it perfectly illustrates another team I deeply appreciate and respect, the Spurs with Kawhi Leonard. I specifically remember the Spurs had all these legendary characters, the GOATs, the amazing, incredible players, and they were saying, this is Kawhi's team. I distinctly recall them saying, we keep telling him, it's your team. It's your team. You take over. This is your show. You had Manu Ginobili, you had Tim Duncan, they were more on the side, still crucial, still important, absolutely still who they were in many ways, and they needed to be on the team to beat the Miami Heat and all that. But they kept reinforcing, this is Kawhi's team. This is Kawhi's team. This is not Pod's team. This is not Pod's team. So that's the missing piece. If you had that young 24-year-old Kawhi, or Anthony Edwards, or Tyrese Maxey, you still need that guy. You still need that anchor being. That's the way I look at it. Otherwise, think about it, you said it worked in the Olympics, but it was actually a little fragile. They almost didn't medal. They almost lost to 19-year-old Wembanyama. It got dicey. You needed the heroics of Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant as well. So there's a fragility there. There's a genuine fragility. And I don't know what player they have access to, or could have access to, who could be that anchor being I'm describing. Even if it was the 30-year-old version of Jimmy Butler, obviously some of the names I'm throwing out are players ascending to superstar status. It's not even just that. You need someone, Andy, I don't necessarily want this guy, but someone like LaMelo Ball, or whoever, someone you can reliably count on for 25+ points per game. Someone who gets their buckets, can be tough, can be physical, and barring a freak accident, will play the majority of the season. In the playoffs, you're not going to watch and think, okay, he's clearly worn down right now. He's young, fresh, ready to compete, strong, ascending. Doesn't have to be this absolute superstar. I don't know who that is right now in terms of who's available and attainable. That's why I threw out a name like Dylan Harper, because even with someone like him, I would feel better, thinking, okay, this guy is on his way up. He's growing, evolving, getting better each season. I believe he'll have a strong season next year. Will he automatically become an all-star? Will he announce to the NBA, everyone, here I am. I'm elite, I'm a superstar, I'm the next guy in charge? Not necessarily. But you can feel reasonably confident there's going to be reliability there. He showed it in the playoffs. He showed it in the actual NBA Finals. That's not Pods to me right now. So I don't know, maybe with a team like this, Pods can really grow. I'm uncertain. Those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you all think about the Golden State Warriors? The entire concept of even having LeBron in the first place, just from a perception standpoint of how you feel as a fan, as well as from an actual basketball standpoint. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's engage in some debates. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you as part of it. I want to build something we all genuinely feel connected to, something we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, it genuinely helps with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.